Hello and welcome to today's crypto review, and in today's video I'll be talking about Contribute, which is a capital coordination tool that pushes the boundaries of DeFi. It's actually the first autonomous interest generating protocol which is powered by you, because every action you take using Contribute determines the total supply of Contribute and also the price. So how amazing is that? The power is actually in the user's hands. And this project is very much under the radar, by the way. The person that told me about it is my brother, because he discovered them through Uniswap, and later he started reading into the white paper and was amazed at how autonomous this project actually is. And then I was reading it too, and I was also amazed. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be doing a review on them just so that you, the viewer, my community, can find out more about this project, and of course do your own research as always. But before we get in, let's hear from today's channel sponsors, Cobalt Lend. This video has been sponsored by Cobalt Lend. Cobalt is a new way to borrow. The Cobalt lending platform aims to bring together borrowers into a fair democratic voting community in order to get all size loans, from microloans to six-figure loans, all without the oversight of a bank. Completely governed by the community, and therefore the community directly profits from its involvement. The current credit system is fundamentally flawed, and the Cobalt platform corrects this by facilitating a community voted and approved lending program on the blockchain that is completely based off the merits of the project. Now let's take a look at Cobalt to see what they're all about. Well, the ecosystem works by allowing borrowers to obtain loans from the treasury only if approved by the community vote. Both the buyer and the staker or the validator benefits from this model of decentralized lending because of less friction, lower fees, and lower overhead, while reducing wait time for loans. The model is a completely trustless protocol with no central authority in charge, nor is there any one central body who can unfairly manipulate the terms of lending, as the community has complete control at all times and can fund or deny any project they deem worthy. Now, how do they plan to incentivize the community? Borrowers are incentivized by receiving free Cobalt CBLT tokens, which are, by the way, an ERC20 token on the Ethereum blockchain, for borrowing. Stakers will be compensated in two ways. First, by verifying the blocks or the transaction on the blockchain, therefore receiving transaction fees that will be split with the treasury, and a small portion will be burned. Second, stakers will receive dividends paid out in Cobalt periodically by the treasury based on the positive tracked performance of the projects funded by the community through the treasury. The treasury will also conduct periodic buybacks of the Cobalt token as well. This, along with the current burn occurring routinely on the protocol, will contribute greatly to the deflationary model and therefore increasing the overall value for investors, wallet holders. So what are the different features they've got? The borrower, which is the wallet holder, the staker, the decentralized finance, social media, e-commerce, help and support. They will be conducting a token sale from the 31st of October if you are interested. There are some countries that are excluded, so do check the list here. Do fill in the details if you are interested. And you can also earn some Cobalt by taking part in their airdrop, which they've got based on social media challenges here. As we can see, they've got the Facebook challenge, the Twitter challenge, Instagram, and so on, if you are interested. Now, before we return to the website, I actually want to take a look at their Medium article here, which basically summarizes what Contribute is all about. So what is Contribute? Contribute's a bootstrap and liquidity for an automated interest-bearing protocol. This means that anyone getting in or out needs to pay a 10% fee to the protocol that gets locked forever, generating interest in the MS Stable platform. And I will be showing you the MS Stable platform too, by the way. So how does it work? The interest that is generated can be claimed by any TRIB token holder as long as they sell the same dollar amount or less of value that there is in the interest pool. After selling their TRIB, they will get the same dollar amount that they sell plus the interest. TRIB token is minted on a bonding curve though, so it gets more expensive the bigger the supply. This means that people that bought when the supply was lower will need to sell less TRIB in order to claim the interest accumulated in the pool. So you'll always have to sell TRIB in order to claim that interest. That is one of the pros, right? This is because the TRIB dollar value will be higher. So if there is $100 in the interest pool, anyone can claim it by selling $100 worth of TRIB back to the contract, and after they do that, they will get 190 back. Why 190 and not 200, you may ask? Well, 100 from the TRIB sale plus 100 from the interest. It's because on every interest claim, 10% of that is used to buy and burn TRIB tokens, right? So that 10% interest is quite high. You got to think about that. It's both for buy and for selling. And that's the 10% tax that gets applied on every transaction. Now, but burning TRIB tokens doesn't actually reduce supply. what it does is lock those tokens forever in the protocol in the burn address. Now this has two main side effects. One, it raises the floor price, which is the lowest a TRIB token gets to be sold to the contract, or two, it forever locks interest generating MUSD in the contract. And here's where the question may raise from your side, right? Because you may be asking yourself, well, if this token is tradable on Uniswap, what's it to stop being dumped on? Like, because Uniswap does depend on the liquidity that is being supplied there, right? So of course, yeah, it can drop much lower than the floor price on Uniswap, but if that happens, then buyers will be incentivized to buy back up to that floor price and sell it using the TRIB website, which I'm going to show you in a moment after we finish reading this. So basically, there's no reason whatsoever for somebody to sell on Uniswap to drop the price lower. Maybe they're in a rush, maybe who knows, right? They may have a reason, but there isn't like a logical reason to drop it lower than what you can get on the TRIB website, right? Because it just doesn't incentivize you, right? You got to think logical here. So number two, it forever locks interest generating MUSD in the contract. That's the second important point here, right? So because the floor price is constantly rising, if you got in at a lower price, at a price lower than the floor, you will never be at a loss. And the MUSD, which is locked in the contract, is making sure that there is always money to be offered for someone to interact with the contract. But remember, to claim the interest, you must have TRIB tokens. So even if everyone sells their tokens tomorrow, someone will still need to buy tokens to claim the interest. And when they do, 10% extra will be locked into the contract, making the lock pool bigger and luring the next person to interact with the contract. And so the cycle begins again. So that's the interesting thing. That's where the autonomy comes into play, right? That's why it's an autonomous project. It's all based on the smart contract. The smart contract manages this whole logic of buying and selling, and thanks to that 10% tax and also the interest, that's how people are constantly profiting from this. But again, it is a slow process because it all depends on how many people are interested to get in, right? So obviously the early investors or the early buyers into this project are the ones that are benefiting the most from that interest, and then of course everyone will be fighting for that interest. So that's something to keep in mind too. Now, how claiming the interest works, this is where we're going to get into it. So only one person gets the interest that is generated by the many, but by doing so they need to contribute 10% to the contract, which is then locked forever, generating more interest. So if you bought $10 worth of TRIB today and everyone that participated in the GME were to sell their tokens, you would be sitting on a savings account with worth around 20k. The 20k would be generating interest for anyone holding TRIB tokens to claim. But guess what? You are the only one holding tokens now. So you are the only one who can claim it, or someone else will need to buy and sell TRIB to the contract and claim that interest. But if they do that, the price of TRIB will get higher because of the bonding curve. And they will also raise the floor price. So in Contribute, it is actually not that bad to be the last one holding the token. To be exact, the last one holding the token will always be the smart contract. You can imagine it as being the strongest hand in the room, the ultimate holder. You know it will never sell. That is why we have the floor price. So the devil's in the details here. There are a few nuances that you only get after thinking about the tokenomics for a bit. For example, if you are the last person on earth holding TRIB tokens, that means the last TRIB token you will sell back to the contract will be the value at the floor price. But since you are the only one holding TRIB tokens, you will be the only one able to claim the interest in the pool. So as long as there is interest being generated, the actual floor price will always be floor price multiplied by 2. And I hope that this was able to generate some interest in the protocol. Of course, if you want to learn more, do check tribtoken.com, and this basically points you back to the website here. So if we go back to the website, what you need to do is you need to connect your MetaMask wallet, and then you'll be able to see this option here, which is to purchase TRIB tokens directly from the website. You can buy or sell here. So for example, if I was to buy TRIB now, let's say I wanted to buy $2.20 maybe worth. Let me see, $2.30. Okay, so $2.30, that's just over 1 TRIB. But if I was to sell 1.02 TRIBs, what would I get? Let me see here. 1.02 TRIBs would give me 185. So as you can see here, it's much less than the buying, of course, because of the 10% of the transaction which gets locked forever and so on. So it just shows you here, this is the reason right here why on Uniswap we're not going to see the price go lower, because if it does, then people will immediately go here and perform that transaction to take advantage of that big gap or big bridge between them. So that'll of course even out the price again on Uniswap and on any other exchange where they're going to be planning to list on in the future. Now if we look at their white paper here, you can see different examples here. You can see how the interest claim works. You can see how it basically gives you examples here. So I do recommend you read their white paper. It's not very big here, so I mean it may take you around an hour, maybe less, to read it, but it's well worth it, because then you'll get a general understanding, or a better understanding I should say, of how it actually works. And again, they've updated their white paper recently to specify here that the audit was done by Certic, which I mentioned at the beginning. The full audit report can be found here, and then if we go to the audit here, we can see it. This is done by Certic. It was done on the 19th of November, so that's recent. We can actually see if there were any issues found in the smart contract. Only one minor issue. Okay, there were 18, but only one of them was minor. Obviously the rest were even less than minor. And the total information as well. So here you can see basically the summary of what was found, so do have a read at this. By the way, the link will be found in the description. I'm going to post it if you're interested, or you can simply go to the white paper, click on this link here, and it will take you there. Now you may be asking yourself, well, how can I actually contribute if I need MUSD? Well, you don't only need MUSD, you can actually contribute with Ethereum too. It gives you the option here to choose Ethereum or MUSD. But if you insist on getting MUSD, you can use the mstable DApp, which is on app.mstable.org. Again, the link can be found in the description of this video. Here you can swap from any stable tokens to MUSD in and out, right? So that's how you can basically get that if you feel more comfortable holding a stable token. Or say, for example, if you want to sell TRIB for a stable token, you don't like the volatility of Ethereum for whatever reason, in that case you can do that, okay? But it's probably easier to just use Ethereum, so you don't have to go to the mstable app. But if you insist on a stable token, this is how you do it. Through the mstable app here, you can swap in and out to Tether, for example, which is very popular, or USDC, which is also accepted by Coinbase. So yeah, I mean, you do have options, also DAI and so on. So yeah, I mean, from my personal point of view, I think that TRIB is awesome, right? Just the fact that they're so autonomous. And you may be asking yourself, well, where's the team information? Well, the team are anonymous. As you could imagine, it was actually created by developers here. So again, the fact that they have this smart contract audited gives you more credibility, right? It gives them more credibility because now you're not as worried that there's going to be a rug pull, right? And you may be asking yourself, well, maybe they paid Certic to do that. Well, no, Certic have a very good reputation, so they're not gonna hurt their reputation over one specific project. Think about it, like Certic has been auditing a lot of crypto projects in the space. So if you want to do more research on Certic, do that. I think they've audited the ontology recently too. So I mean, yeah, Certic has been auditing a lot of big cryptocurrency projects. They're not going to hurt their reputation over one project. Think about that. So if they said that it's safe, right? So yeah, the developer doesn't control the smart contract, just to make it clear. That's why it's autonomous, that's why it works. It's self-sustaining. It's all based on the community, the buying and the selling. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, this is how it works. Think of it as the next generation DeFi platform, pretty much. That's it from today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think, by the way, as always, in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new, like the video if you enjoyed it, or dislike if you don't. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.